Hi, I'm Phil. Good boy. Hi, I'm Phil. Welcome to Pretty Good Cooking.
Pretty good.
Tonight on the show, we are fulfilling a paid request. That's right, we sold out for charity. This video exists because a person gave money to charity, okay? Tonight we're making mofongo with chicharrones, or chicharron, or chicarron, or however the f you say it in your particular country. We, Pretty Good Cooking, participate in fundraisers to help children in hospitals. It's called Extra Life. And one of the things we did in 2020 as an incentive for people contributing to that, we offered a guarantee that we will make a recipe of that person's choosing. John is turning his phone on silent because he's got a few notifications. Hey, by the way, John's here.
Hello.
It's been a while. So this recipe was requested by our friend Brett, the co-host of the PGC podcast. And as it was supplied by him, I would like you to refer all complaints to Brett. Just, if you got something to say, send it to him. Brett sourced this recipe from his friend's grandma. Abuelita Rivera supplied this recipe, and she lives in Puerto Rico. So if you have any complaints, Brett may take those complaints to that nice old lady in Puerto Rico. This is all introduction before we start, because at some point I'm gonna have to talk about, like I have in a few recent videos, about people who watch our videos and then say, no, that's not how you do it. Or to an even worse extent say, you're not respecting the people's traditions. You know, I would like to make it explicitly clear. This video is for entertainment purposes. I don't know what I'm doing. I never knew what I was doing. I never knew what I was doing in any of the 400 to 500 episodes that we've made, regardless of where they came from. I have nothing but love for food and the cultures from where those food come. So if you want to learn how to actually do this, don't watch this video. Don't do it, just stop. But if you want to have a little bit of fun, maybe laugh at some of my dumb jokes, you can keep watching. Tonight, the first step is to get a drink. Today, we'll be drinking Dale's Pale Ale. Okay, I gotta make it explicitly clear that this is not my recipe. It's not my invention. I did not invent this. I am merely following instructions as they were supplied to me. So, it starts with plantains. And here are the plantains that we have tonight. 4 green plantains. One of them is a straight plantain. A couple of them are curved. I have no idea if that has impact on the flavor. I doubt it does. But I just wanted to point that out because I didn't know what else to say about those plantains, you know. All right, we're peeling the plantains. Green plantains being relatively unripe, maybe a little difficult to peel. But I believe that you, the viewer who has decided for some reason to make this recipe based on how I did it, that you will find a way to peel those plantains. You have the wherewithal and the ability. You might even have the hand-eye coordination. You might have been born with the dexterity to do this. All right, I have peeled the plantains, and now I will chop them. This recipe says to chop them in approximately 1-inch pieces on a diagonal. I don't know why you would cut them on a diagonal. Maybe because it looks cool. Maybe Abuelita Rivera is just a really cool lady. By the way, we're gonna mash them up when we cook them. So, yeah, I don't know. All right, we've done it. Okay, next, we are going to add about a tablespoon of salt. But this is kosher salt, so really I would just use, you know, a palm or so of salt. If you feel like giving it a shake, you can. Didn't say to do that in the recipe. It's ruined. Here's some cold water. You're gonna put them in cold water. And then set it aside about 15 minutes. Let's set a timer. It's almost story time. I have plenty of stories, feelings to share. Okay, in this pot, I have some pork belly. Now, chicharron can refer, I mean, it literally means like pork cracklings. And that's primarily made out of pork skin, like pork belly skin. However, there are also other versions of chicharron where it is the actual pork belly. And so here I have a pork belly, which you can see it looks like bacon. because that's what bacon's made out of. Makes sense, right? This is a 3.5 pound piece, which is more than what the recipe called for, but I figured having leftover fried pork belly might be kind of a nice thing to have. So I've been soaking it in salt water, which is also not in the recipe. I'm not respecting anyone's traditions, but I think that will help draw out a little bit of the moisture when we go to cook it. And as a result of that, it will make the frying process go a little bit more smoothly. Before I proceed, I gotta acknowledge this is a fast way of making chicharron. There are lots of ways to put a lot more effort into this and probably make a better version, but it's a weeknight. We don't have time for that right now. And I'm following the recipe, okay? I'm following it, okay? Okay? All right. We're gonna slice this into pieces that are roughly 1 inch wide. We're slicing it up. Yes, sir. Yes, sirree. Do you ever hear that variation on yes, sir, where it becomes yes, sirree, and then it becomes yes, sirree, Bob? Who is Bob?
Your uncle.
I don't have an Uncle Bob. Okay, now, in addition to slicing it, we're gonna score. What scoring does is it increases the surface area for this pork, which will assist it in the frying process. And again, in case you have the big dumb, you've never cooked before, scoring means making a cut but not going all the way through. All right. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna cook these in water, and then when the water is evaporated, we're gonna fry it in the remaining fat. So we're basically rendering down this pork, and then we're gonna fry it. But what you can see is that in my large pot, even if I like smash it all in there, not a ton of room. So it is gonna be a little overcrowded, and that'll be a pain in the butt, but it'll shrink also when it cooks. Okay, now we're gonna season the pork with the juice of a lime. This is it's called a bold maneuver. It is in the recipe. Some people will say, I literally have seen YouTube comments. Worst thing in the world is YouTube comments. They were like, true chicharron has no seasoning. Can you imagine? Can you imagine feeling so passionately about not tasting things in your food? Dumbasses. And then we're gonna add some oregano. Here's our oregano, or as fancy people might call it, Oregano. But I don't think anybody in Puerto Rico says it that way. I'm just assuming. And then we're gonna add some salt. These are some wild flavors, guys. I hope you're offended by them. All right, now we're gonna fill up the pot with water until it just covers the meat. You might need to give it a shake, but if you shake it more than 2 times, you're just playing with yourself. All right, now let's get that going. Over hot heat, high heat and hot heat. Very similar. And in fact, in this case, they're the same. We've got 1.5 minutes waiting for our plantains. That's fine. Now we can start our other pot. So this is our pork pot. You got that? This is our plantain pot. This is the boil fry pot. This is just the fry pot. So let's get the heat going right there. And then I got my frying oil, lightly used. Right now it's kind of at a medium heat. The recipe specifically, very specifically calls for bringing the oil up to 350 degrees and then reducing it to 300 degrees. And that the plantains need to be fried low and slow. And you just cook them until they're cooked through. You're not trying to make them turn a dark color. So we'll get that heating up. I got all kinds of proper kitchen equipment now, right? I can actually measure the temperature of this shit. All right, welcome back. It's been a time. It took a little time. Hey, baby. It took a little bit of time for us to get all of that water out. Vinny's on drugs. He had a lot of teeth pulled. He's on drugs, but he's happy. All right, check out this pork. The water all boiled away and left the fat. It left a shitload of fat. So much so I didn't even realize it. But look, check this out. Now pork's frying. Chicharron, watermelon. So look at this. Now we're just gonna fry this until it's crispy and delicious. And because this is now in the fry stage, I feel okay that we can get those plantains going. Look at that, it's already frying. It's just a wonderful pile of lard, and we're cooking the pork in it. Now, I know I had a lot of caveats and I expressed some things in this episode. If you are not excited about this, then you don't know what flavor is, because this is a pile of fatty ass pork cooking down in its own fatty ass fat. Okay? That's what this is. This is gonna taste so f***ing good. Vinny must go. Alright. We're gonna let you out, buddy. Go frolic in the flowers. Oh boy, that boy. Okay, so we're gonna fry that. We're gonna turn the temperature down because we don't want anything to burn. But that's the idea. We're gonna fry this until it gets to the point where it can't fry no more responsibly. All right, let's check the oil. You know, I don't really know. I don't know. 320, I feel like that's close enough. It's actually on the lowest heat that my burner will do. So I think that's just what we're gonna fry the plantains at. Even though the apple eater, I'm changing the recipe, oh no. That's what we gotta do. We gotta do the best we can with the abilities we got. Let's go ahead and strain off those plantains. My dogs would like to come inside. It's up to you if you want to dry them off, but I mean, probably a good idea too. Probably a good idea, because otherwise you're gonna drop a wet banana in a pot of oil, which is probably a recipe for disaster. All right, now let's get those plantains frying. I expect we'll get a little bubbling action, but it shouldn't be too terribly bad. All right, and we gotta fry those for a time. What is that time? I'll tell you. I'll tell you shortly. Gotta fry them about 15 minutes. We'll be back. It's looking good. So I'm working with garlic. I got like a dozen cloves or more. My mortar and pestle, not good, not quality. Gotta upgrade that at some point. So I'm actually pressing the garlic before I grind it up or bash it up into a paste. And I'm just trying to get it out of its solid form and into something that I can work with. So part of this is gonna go in the mofongo, and another part of it I'm gonna try to use in the dressing or gravy or sauce or whatever you want to call it. So I'm literally just smashing all this garlic, just like you could smash that like button if you would like to. That's right, I said it. But I don't mean it. Actually, I'd prefer you not. Okay, so it's been about 15 minutes on the plantains, and I don't think they're quite done yet. I think when I added all those cold bananas in, it dropped the temperature of the oil. So I'm gonna let those keep cooking. However, our chicharron looks pretty much done to me. It's getting nice and crispy. I think if we let it keep going, it'll start burning. So I'm gonna go ahead and fish this out. But it looks real nice. I would say it's a little darker looking than some of the chicharron I've seen, which could be just from the temperature I cooked it at. Could be all kinds of reasons. But we did already taste just a little piece. It tastes fantastic. A lot of the pieces that I scored, as you can see, broke down into cubes. But for our purposes today, that's just fine because we're gonna be chopping it up anyways. So I think it's just gonna be a couple more minutes on the plantains and then we'll be in the home stretch. Pretty excited. I think it's gonna be delicious. Okay, we're getting close to being near the end of our food journey. And so I'm gonna make up some sauce for these. One of the features, I suppose, or you could call it a downside of this dish, is that sometimes it can come out pretty dry because, you know, you're just mixing mashed plantain, chicharron, garlic, and so often there's different types of sauces. John visited Puerto Rico and he said that when he would eat these there would be like 4 different sauce options. So we're just gonna whip up a really quick sauce. You could call it Mojo, you could call it Mojo. I'm sorry, I don't know how to say it. But it's really simple and it's a lot of the familiar things that you would incorporate anyway. So we have a bunch of crushed garlic. Gonna add juice of a lime. We're gonna add some olive oil. And 2 absolutely crazy flavorings never before used. Oregano and cumin. Who could have seen this coming? That. And some salt. And we'll get a little cilantro in there. And why not some pepper? We could eat pepper, right? Whisk that together. And if you feel like it needs some more breadth, maybe just add a dash of water. Which is not what Brett told me to do, but I feel like it's gonna be fine for what it is. Please direct all complaints about things I did differently from what Brett told me to do, also to Brett. These are done. There's a very light golden color on these plantains, but they're firm on the outside. You can see, maybe you can't see. I thought they were ready to mesh. Oh yeah, they are. The outside's a little crispy, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I don't know if it's the way we fried them, but they are a little dry, and that's why we're gonna use a f***ing sauce. We'll make it work. I'm confident. Now traditionally, or maybe more authentically, you would use a mortar and pestle, however you want to say it. But I don't have one big enough to do all that. I'm gonna use a potato masher, and we'll go ahead and get our garlic, a few cloves of that, and good shit. And then for the chicharron, we can actually just slice or dice some of this up. You can even just mash it. Mashing it would work just fine. I recommend just chopping it up a bit because it's gonna go in small pieces. So you see how we have these small pieces? And so as long as we're able to, you know, incorporate it in some way, then great. As long as this somewhat resembles food at the end, fantastic. Okay, now let's try mashing this nonsense together. We'll see how it goes. I hope it works. Probably should have just mashed the plantains first. I don't feel good about it because the plantains are so dry. Look how dry they are. It smells amazing.
Should use the meat tenderizer.
Okay, if it's not working,
not that.
There's more than one way to break things up. And this seems to be working. I honestly can't even tell you how good this smells. I'm sure I must have f***ed something up with the plantains. Maybe they're overcooked, maybe not. Who can say? Not me, I can't say. But I'm telling you, I'm pounding this shit together. It smells like garlic. It smells like fried pork. And it smells like plantains. All right, so to be perfectly honest, I think it needs to be wetter than what it is, but I think we'll be able to get something that resembles the dish by the time I'm done beating the ever-loving hell out of it. And I mean, it is dry. The plantain is very, very dry. Let's go ahead and let's just try it. It smells f***ing amazing. Definitely dry. It's supposed to be kind of chunky. You ready? And there it is. My mofongo. Okay, so we are where we are, right? First, I'm gonna sample this before I address the mofongo. I forgot the salt. They're supposed to salt it to taste. I'll go ahead and do that. Okay, now I can tell you, because like we said, ours is dry, that this sauce might make it a lot more nice to eat. I'd like to remind everyone, I don't know what I'm doing, but this food that we created, it looks good. It looks fancy even. It legitimately looks really good and it tastes awesome. Okay, let's try it, sauce and all. God damn, that's good. Man, is it what I imagine the real thing is like? No. I imagine a better cohesive texture, something more similar to potatoes, but this is so f***ing good. The sauce takes this to that next level. It's the difference between eating a plain taco and a taco with all the fixings. It's the difference between eating a sandwich with literally no condiments. You ever had one of those? They're awful. And a sandwich with like mayo and mustard and all the good shit. It needs sauce. It needs it. Shit, that's good. I'm telling you, this is delicious. I wish I could tell you how to do it better. I don't know. I really don't. The acid from the lime juice, this perfectly complements this big ball of, fat, which is what it is. Well, that's how we did it. I don't know if we did a good job in representing this dish, but we made something that tastes f***ing delicious. And if you can't appreciate that, I don't know, reevaluate your life and throw another shrimp on the barbie. By the way, this dish is often served with shrimp and a salad. Tonight, I think we're just gonna eat this. But if you can throw a shrimp on the barbie, might as well, right? That's how we did it. See you next time on PGC. Bye-bye.